From Chris TV, this is Chris 6 News at 5.
Black smoke fills the Corpus Christi sky after a tanker explodes on the Harbor Bridge. First responders rush to the site to fight the fire. Thanks for joining us. That fire burned for a solid 2 hours today. It is now out, but the bridge is not yet completely open. Chris 6 News anchor Stephanie Jimenez joins us now live from the Harbor Bridge. She is starting our team coverage on this tanker explosion tonight. Stephanie, drivers are still being told to avoid the area. What is the situation there right now?
Well, good afternoon, Drew. You know, it's rush hour, but you certainly wouldn't know it by the lack of activity here on the Harbor Bridge. You know, it's 5 o'clock. This is typically a time when people are making their way home from work, but that's not the case right now. It's taking people a lot longer to get to where they need to be, and now we want to show you why. We want to show you an aerial view from our mast cam. Just to give you some context, 26,000 vehicles travel on the Harbor Bridge every day, and now many of those drivers are being diverted to the Joe Fulton corridor. Now that's west of us near Annaville. We are hearing that there is some traffic there. On any normal day, it would take you about 10 minutes to get to the Joe Fulton corridor, but you can bet it's going to take longer now. And now we're showing you pictures from our Skycam. Here is another way to travel northbound onto the Harbor Bridge. Drivers are trying to get to the access road where they can bypass the accident. Again, this is on the Harbor Bridge. It is just past Power Street and Palo Alto near the old Nueces County Courthouse. Drivers can hop on the bridge from there. It's just taking them a while to get there. And now we're going to take a step back and tell you how we got here in the first place. Chris 6 News reporter Priscilla Torres is joining us live with that part of the story. So Priscilla, what happened here?
Well, Stephanie, it all started when two trucks collided heading northbound towards Portland. As you can see behind me, the two trucks are still there as crews work to safely get those removed. As for witnesses, they say it's a scene they'll soon not forget. Just before 11 this morning, black smoke filled the air near downtown Corpus Christi.
The white truck was broken down right here, and the other truck that's flipped over hit it, and then it just blew up.
Then almost immediately after, that's when witnesses claim they heard loud bangs.
Six explosions, pretty much 6 explosions.
And there were a number of other explosions in which it seemed there was some debris that was being blown off the side of the bridge.
Witnesses say those loud explosions and debris came from the tires of one of the trucks involved in the accident, and flames could be seen across the city.
I could see the smoke coming in from Staples.
For people working nearby in the downtown area, once they heard those loud booms,
we came outside and it was black smoke just up in flames, and we went up to the bridge, and before the police told us to get down, it was a massive explosion.
They ran outside, standing wherever they could to see what it all was.
But when I got up here, I seen the explosion actually happen. It was just throwing parts and parts all over the place, off the side of the freeway and everything.
That burning oil that coated parts of the overpass and was dripping off the bridge.
There's gasoline everywhere. It's dripping off the back. You can see behind me, it was dripping off the bottom. So the flames got all the way down to the side of the bridge, and the whole bridge caught on fire. Both
drivers were taken to a nearby hospital and are expected to be okay. As for those who saw it all,
it's just so surreal. So it's mind-blowing to me.
Now, we don't know what that other truck was carrying. Fire and police officials are not yet releasing that information. Stephanie, back to you.
All right, Priscilla, thank you so much. And as you just saw in all of that video, that fire was pretty big. So as you can imagine, that can do a lot of damage to the bridge itself. And that's why TxDOT crews are waiting to come onto the scene to inspect it. For that part of our team coverage, we're going to send things on over to Andrew Ellison. So Andrew, please explain to us what TxDOT crews have to do now.
This section of bridge behind me will remain closed until TxDOT makes sure it's safe enough for people to drive on again. Take a look at this. This was the scene earlier. You see the tanker on fire, but you can also see burning oil dripping down the side of the bridge, even getting underneath it. That's partly why TxDOT has to inspect this section of bridge before allowing people to drive on it again. Now, that inspection includes checking the surface of the bridge, the rails, and the structure underneath, including the support columns. But TxDOT has to wait for the fire department to clear the scene before it can inspect. And part of clearing the scene, of course, is getting the tanker you see there removed. The fire department may coordinate that, or another entity may coordinate that. And once TxDOT is able to get in and inspect, it's really unclear how long that inspection will take. TxDOT says that all depends on what their crews find when they get on the scene. So depending on how long that takes, this section of bridge could be closed for quite a while. Stephania, Drew?
All right, thank you so much, Andrew. And now we have to mention that this is not a usual occurrence here on the Harbor Bridge. Sure, there are accidents that happen all the time on our roadways. And in those cases, the fire departments or the police departments would come, clear the scene, and then a tow truck would come and remove the vehicles involved in the accident. But the real variable here is that crude oil truck, because there's no way to tell the extent of the damage that explosion did to our bridge, and that's exactly why it's taking so long for things to get back to normal here on the Harbor Bridge. And now we're going to send things back to Drew in the studio.
Stephania, Priscilla, Andrew, thank you. We're going to check back with Stephania a little bit later in this newscast. Now, we want to show you a bird's eye view of the accident. You can see some of the traffic here back up. It stretches back a pretty long way. Here are crews spraying water on the tanker you see. You can also see burn marks on the road from the fire. In this video, the fire is pretty much put out, though, at that point. And we want to give you another look at the traffic flow right now in the area. What this is you're looking at real-time traffic. What Stephania was talking about a moment ago, the purple color you see in the top right there, that means the road is closed. The orange shows that traffic is slow. Again, as she mentioned, drivers are being told to avoid that area if they can. You can keep up with breaking news just like that tanker fire. Just download the Chris 6 News app and it is free. 6 Investigates confirms there was petroleum product in that tanker. Now, Chief Investigative Reporter Rick Spruill is here now live in our studio with more on how this is yet another example of how our dangerous roads can be. Rick?
Thanks, Drew. Firefighters worked to keep this fire contained for at least a couple of hours this morning. And as we've reported before, hazmat trucks heading to and from our refineries share our roads every day. 6 Investigates reported a couple of years ago that Corpus Christi doesn't have a hazardous corridor, also called an HC, through town. And as of today, we still don't. We asked Fire Chief Robert Rocha whether today's situation changes anything. He says no.
We're not required by the state to have an HC. It is something that we looked at. And at this time, there's not a recommendation to create a hazmat corridor.
Rocha reminded us that hazardous routes are meant for through traffic, not for trucks that have to stop or start their trips here. It's clearly a complex topic, which is why tonight at 6:35, I'll be hosting a Q&A live on my Facebook page. Find it on Facebook by searching Rick Spruill or @RickInvestigates. Hope to see you then.
Rick, thank you. You can follow the latest developments on this tanker explosion story at christv.com.